Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I was starting to do a blush swatch comparison type of kind of half a declutter, or really just looking at the blushes, the cream blushes that I have, but also the powder blushes that I have, and see the colors and see how much overlap and what I really need to focus on, trying to figure out if I want to keep, and things that instead I'm surely keeping. And I said, wow, I should really turn on the camera. So I did. So here we are. I had already started swatching and I was pulling out my blushes. So I want to do this with you guys. Let's make some color piles and then see how we continue. Here we are. I still have a few blush palette and a how do you call it, powder blush palette right here, but I'm gonna start with these ones. So this one is Foxglove by Rose Inc, and to be honest, I was actually quite surprised that this was the color when I swatched it, because I was pretty convinced it was gonna be much more of a like burnt orange type of shade. But this is Foxglove, and I wanted to compare it to a few things that I have, but I'm not expecting to get rid of this at all. But maybe it will give me an idea of how many of the same shade that I own. This one is Drop of a Hat by Colourpop, and it's completely different. I was a little bit confused by the color in the pan, but this is a very luminous blush that is also on the corally spectrum, but much lighter. And with that same much lighter thing, I have Truth by Nabla, which is a more rosy toned compared to the Colourpop. And here I have from Jouer this side right here, which is a nice corally shade, but it's also quite light and peachy actually. All these are more of the peachy side and very luminous. They're quite similar. This one, and especially here with Truth and the Colourpop, maybe it's a little bit of a mix of the two. This is interesting. And I don't think I have anything much more coral or in that family, to be honest, to swatch. Also in my blush, in my powder blushes right here. Then I will continue with the other peach that I have, which is this Vive one that is called Pesca, which is peach in Italian. It's a matte powder blush, much more orangey peach. It's a bit like the Colourpop one, but without the luminosity. It's a little bit luminous, but not a lot. So far, all quite different. This is the Disney Tinkerbell Darling Super Shock blush from Colourpop, and here you can see we already go much more into the orange category. It's a nice burnt shade with beautiful shimmer. So actually I need to remember to swatch it when I'm on that side of the spectrum rather. But still thinking of Rose Inc, I really don't have anything like it, do I? If I take a look at the more rosy tones that I own, this is Work by Melt, and actually it's a little bit more rosy. There's less red in it. The Lisa Eldridge blush. Ooh, that was a lot of blush that came out. Oh my goodness, I could like live for a week on this blush now. That's such a waste. But this is more of like a rosewood color. Then we have Fenty Beauty Rose Latte, and that there we go, already much more brown in tone. This is Daniel Sandler Spicy, which goes a little bit more in the rosy category, and it's a beautiful luminous blush. It's still quite different than the others. It's probably on the cheek gonna give a little bit of a similar effect, but it's less pink compared to these guys right here. So far I don't really see a lot of overlap, do I? Then I have here Merit Beverly Hills. It's a much more sheer pink based. It's probably the pinkest blush that I have. I've actually been wearing it. It's part of my Project 10 uses, and I like it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's quite a nice tone. I'm gonna continue up my arm. This is Lys LYS in the shade Confident. This is a satin matte cream blush. This one is also a little bit on the chopping block, mainly because I see that I have to make myself use it. And yeah, they're all kind of in the same family, but all slightly different. This one is a little bit deeper, a little bit pinker. And the last one in the family is She's Blushing from Patrick Ta. This looks familiar, doesn't it? That was the cream side, and this is the swatching on my bone is very smart, isn't it? This is the powder side. This is actually very similar to the Lys one and to the Daniel Sandler. So these two, they are already in my Project 10 pans, 10 uses, sorry, to make sure that I like them. And yeah, I do, but to be honest, these three are very similar. The message is if you have one, you don't need the others. It's this one, and there's these two. To me, at least from here, they look very similar. And I think I would include Work in this family. Even though it's a touch more pink, I would include them together. In this whole exercise, I'm definitely keeping the Patrick Ta. I am going to declutter the Milk makeup. This is in the shade Work. And yeah, it's just too similar to the rest, and I don't feel reach it for it really, so I prefer the others. And now among these two, I'm really doubting. I think I'm going to declutter Lys and keep the Daniel Sandler, because this one is really special in my collection somehow. It's really beautiful in summer and has a little bit of a warmer tint compared to the Patrick Ta. The Lys instead is just very, it's a great formula, a beautiful blush. I've used it a handful of times, and I know I like it. It's just not that special in my collection, so I'm gonna declutter this one. From the peaches, I'm definitely not gonna get rid of Truth by Nabla. I'm not gonna get rid of the Vive. We saw the swatches of that. This is more orange, and I'd like to actually swatch this one next to this shade right here in my pans. This is Summer Fling by Makeup Geek, because I think they're very similar. Except that the Vive one is much more hard-pressed. And we have Vive here and Makeup Geek here. Makeup Geek is a little bit more orangey and Vive is a little bit more peach. It's also very difficult to show you because they're so similar. But I think I'm gonna declutter the Makeup Geek one. I rarely reach into this palette, and I really wanted to figure out which blushes are unmissable and to pare down this palette much smaller so that I would reach for it more often. So that one is gonna go. Then I want to take a look at my more nude blushes. I'm gonna start with Glossier Dusk. Mamma mia. So difficult to dose these. I really don't like the packaging. Also to get a decent swatch. There we go. This is much more representative of Dusk. It's a beautiful warm nude. I really like it. From Rose Inc, I recently got the shade Delphine. And now I see that I have a type because it looks very similar to me. Oh goodness, they are so similar. Delphine is a little bit more pinky. Definitely easier formula to work with than the Glossier one in terms of ease of use. It's a little bit more pink. Then I have the Puff Paint by Natasha Denona in Tan, which initially I thought would be way too light for my skin tone. I bought it anyways and I love it. Yeah, also very similar to Dusk. Wow, I do have a type, don't I? So similar to Dusk. If I listened to my own voice, I would not keep both of them. But since I am not listening to my own voice, I'm going to continue swatching. This is Fenty Glow by Fenty Beauty. It was in a Christmas pack some time ago. And it is also the same nude shade, but with luminosity and shine. Quite a bit of it, actually. I don't know if you can see the difference. Like, there's actual pearl in the Fenty one, and the other ones are matte. And another nude blush is Cheek Pollen by MAC that I had depotted. Also one of my favorites. I've been keeping it because I love it so much. The formula and the color are so nice. And it's a little bit lighter and just in powder form. I must say that I don't want to get rid of any of these. Like, all of these are really some of my favorites. Maybe Fenty Glow is the one that I use the least, but for no special reason, to be honest. They're all really nice. And lesson learned, I should really have not bought Delphine by Rose Inc. I really didn't need it. It's just another shade of nudie blush that I own. I'm gonna see, this one here is Copper Tone by MAC. It's also a pan, but I think this one is deeper and more intense. It is quite similar to Dauphine, actually. If you look at these two, it has a little bit more pink and a little bit more intensity in the color. And then I'm gonna go into Desert Orchid by Pat McGrath, which is, again, the same family but more luminous, a little bit more luminous. Oh goodness, I love these, all of these. Well, then that is what it is. I'm gonna just keep all of these. With those very different blushes out of the way, I want to take a look at the biggest category, which is a bit deeper, warmer terracotta shades, let's say. I'm starting with the Cheek Slime in Fielding by Freck, and this is such a interesting texture. It's more of a gel type of blush. Really nice on the cheek, quite bright. Again, put way too much on. And this is kind of how also I end up applying them, because they need to be drop on the hand and then blend it out with a brush on the cheeks. But at least like this you can see the shade well. And I recently bought Love by Rare Beauty, which is also a liquid blush, which seems to be a little bit more deep and desaturated than that. Yeah, and more red as well. These are all so pigmented. The little goes a very long way. The similar formula to the Cheek Slime is Flower Beauty Cinnamon, but definitely a different color. It's almost worth looking at it with the neutrals that I had before. But another jelly blush. In the more reddish category, we have Rusty Rouge by Nude Sticks, and this is a stick that remains dewy, and it's a bit more orange than Love. Similar style, but this one stays dewy, whereas Love, you see it's drying out. Matte. More desaturated is Sunkissed by Nude Sticks. Different family, I guess you would call them. I'm gonna swatch here Tinkerbell, again the blush from Colourpop, but this is just completely different. It's just a bright shade of, it's the shimmer that really does it, puts it in a different category. I'm gonna swatch Colourpop Bardot, another shimmery blush, but here we go deeper and more red toned. These are some like favorites of mine. I don't know why I don't wear them more. I guess I forget them because I've had them for a long time compared to the other ones that are newer. And what do I have here still? Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Intense. And this is very shimmery as well, and you can see it's a bit closer to the one in the one from Colourpop, but a different shade of shimmer, a different, I don't know, it's a little bit different. And then we have Nabla Flushed Terracotta Duo. It's on one side a cream blush and the other side is just a clear gel. Also beautiful, should also wear it more often. Merit Terracotta, that is a bit lighter. Could have also gone with the nudes at this point, with the warm nudes at least. More dewy, and I think it stays more dewy. It reminds me a bit more about Cinnamon. And then we have here Patrick Tashi Soleil. The cream and the powder. And these are much more, as you can see, in the same family. So we have Flower, Beauty, Nabla, and Patrick Ta that are quite similar. Actually, I would include the Charlotte Tilbury in this family as well, because you can see the Charlotte Tilbury right here, this one, and the Patrick Ta right here are quite similar. This is the powder from Patrick Ta, and this is the cream. Yeah, so I would actually have these ones all together as a category. I have my brighter blushes right here. So Frack Fielding, Rare Beauty Love, and Rusty Rouge by Nude Sticks. All just so gorgeous and so different. And then we have Nude Sticks Sunkissed, which is really nice as well. Now for a few powders that could be in that same family. But I feel like in my powder blush era, I was much more into reds than browns, I guess. This is Spicy Pepper by H&M, which I've kept for a long time, but I haven't worn. And I think I'm gonna let go of it. It's very red, way too red for what I wear right now. Actually, I might put it in a maybe to be tried on, because I really don't think it will look good on me. This one is Neve Cosmetic Oolong. Oh, but this is like, isn't it a pink? Yeah, it's much more rosy than red brown. These are from a Sleek makeup palette from a long time ago. And I just repotted them because I don't know if you remember these Sleek makeup palettes. They were square, like rectangles with 3 shades. This one also. And from this trio, I kept only these 2 shades, but I think it's time to let them go. I don't really wear this type of colors anymore. I don't find that they suit me. And then here I have MAC Raisin blush. Oh, gorgeous. Which is quite similar actually to Sunkissed. I think I'm gonna get rid of it because I have Sunkissed. I don't need also the matte version of it. And then Burnt Pepper by MAC. Right here. It's actually quite similar to Oolong by Neve if I look at it like that. I think I'm gonna try this on the cheeks just like this other one and get rid of the other 4. While I was taking swatches on my arm to post on Instagram, I realized I forgot to show you Picante by Nude Sticks. It's this shade right here. It kind of falls into this brighter, darker shades category. And it's here next to the Cheek Slime Frack. And you can see that's a much, much brighter orange shade. And luckily the formula is quite sheer, so it works really, really well. I really like it in summer. I don't use it super often, but it's a very unique shade. Really nice. Also on the lips, which is one of the advantages of the Nudies by Nude Sticks. So yeah, here are the the swatches all together. You'll find these on my Instagram, and I'll have inserted them also earlier. You'll have seen them, but I wanted to explain a little bit what shade this one was. One that I forgot to swatch completely is actually the Hourglass Tiger palette, and this is also why I forget to use it, because I also just forget to swatch it. It has these two copper tones that are quite unique and striking, partially because they're quite shimmery. I don't really have anything this shimmery. I think what I wanted to take a look at was possibly Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, because this is also a very, very shimmery blush right here, and you can see that it's more muted, it's a bit more brown, and the Colourpop one is actually quite similar, I feel like. Yeah, there we go. Here we have something that is quite similar to the Tiger palette. I must say, like, I have not been using this or reaching for it or caring about it at all, and maybe it's because I already have all of these blushes, and I am actually thinking that I'm going to declutter this one. It's not necessarily my favorite colors, it's very shimmery, and yeah, I think the solution is that this one will go. Very sad because it was an expensive purchase, but I'll be putting it on Vinted and yeah, seeing if someone wants to buy it from me. Let me know in case. I'll leave my link to Vinted in the description box, and if by some weird country situation you cannot see my Vinted, just let me know in a DM on Instagram or something like that, and we can talk about it if you're interested in this one. I know it's been sold out a lot. And finally, what I still have kind of to take a look at are these blushes right here. My only pink blush, which is MAC Oh My, which was from some Flamingo collection. It's a beautiful, like, warmer corally pink. Gorgeous. I keep one of these just in case, because what if I want to do a bright pink look in the summer? I don't know. I keep it. I like it. And here I have the shade Melba. I wore it the other day, actually. It looks very pink in the pan. Let's see if I can swatch it with a brush. No, I cannot. Well, if you know, blushes are very difficult to swatch, especially these harder MAC blushes. And these two we swatched earlier. I think I'm gonna get rid of Melba because I've used it like literally 2 times. You can barely see in the pan that it's used. And I am very happy with the range of nudes that I just saw today in my collection. So I'm gonna get rid of this one and keeping these. And then these are some real throwbacks, like the Anastasia banana powder. Do we still need it? Are we still doing banana powder under our eyes? Probably not. I'm gonna get rid of it. It's also like 1,000 years old. These are shades that I repressed from the Becca and Khloe Kardashian palette, and I used to take them with me on holidays, but I'm not into these super shiny highlighters anymore, and they're much more highlighters. Maybe the middle one was a blush for me, but I'm gonna get rid of these for sure. And finally, they're not blushes, but bronzers and contours. I have these 4. This one is Bad Habit from Makeup Geek, and this one is Puppy Love, which probably is a blush, actually. I'm gonna get rid of Puppy Love because it's a quite light and cool toned. I don't see myself reaching for it. And Bad Habit, I can't get rid of it yet. This was, like, you can see there's quite a dip in here. It was my daily contour, let's say, but it's for warm and fair skin tone, so it's quite warm for a contour, but a very nice neutral shade. I like it. Like, it's not too orangey, too yellow. It's very nice. And these are from Nabla, Monoi and Cameo. I don't really reach for them anymore, and if I want powder bronzers, I have others that I like more. So I'm gonna get rid of these as well. This palette is now much smaller. Look, these are the only shades that I'm keeping actually, which makes me very happy because I thought this was too big, took too much space in my life, and I never reached for it. This smaller blush palette gives me much more happiness. Also, if I want to travel, actually, I have quite a nice range right here. Oh, and I was not keeping raisins, so this one goes as well. Sorry. No, it's only these 5 actually, which is even better. Not aesthetically pleasing, not as aesthetically pleasing, but even better. And these were all my blushes swatched. It also worked a little bit as a declutter, as you've heard, but I wanted to do it. I mentioned it in my previous declutter that I needed to do a dedicated video to this because it takes so long and I really need to spend some time looking at these shades. Overall, I'm getting rid of a lot of my old powder pans, and I'm glad about that. I'm hoping to rehome the MAC ones at least, because those are quite new and barely touched. So those I'm hoping to rehome, just as the Hourglass Tiger palette. Honestly, I'm not even sad. I'm sad for the money I spent, but I'm not even sad because I really don't reach for it. So it means that I'm not really into it in itself, and it doesn't need to stay in my collection, in my stash. Oh, and the Liss blush, I still probably will go as well because I have so much other stuff that I prefer. Actually, yes, that goes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You'll see all of the swatches and comparisons also pop up on my Instagram, which is Alice's Beauty Madness. Don't hesitate to follow me there. There's much more daily makeup going on there, and in stories and stuff like that. So thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!